want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know the truth.
Hey, peace, everybody. Let me turn this off. Excuse me. Peace, everybody. I just want to make sure people can hear me. There were some technical difficulties, so I just want to make sure. If anybody who's watching on Instagram Live, oh, I don't have to do this thing anymore with the phone. Okay. Oh, you know what I'll do? Just to be honest, I'll pause it. Okay. Peace, everybody. I hope. Well, look, I know a lot of people are in the streets striking all over the country. Salute to all of them, especially for folks. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that people. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to be on a lot longer. So the first part of this is going to be talking about the seminar, the Black Puerto Rican Radical Tradition. And then folks could stay on or not, obviously. And I think I'm going to go for a couple of hours. I just put on some calls to some of my closest people that I know are in different cities and in the streets. I told them, you know, if you can come on live for a couple of minutes, here's the link. But I'm going to keep this open because this is my way of contributing to this strike. Honestly, I've been watching news and all I've heard is about the Epstein files and then what happened to Georgia Fort and Don Lemon, which I have an interesting tied connection in there. And yeah, I'm here for it. So if you want to leave comments, go ahead, or ask questions. Absolutely, especially about the seminar. All right. I never look at the numbers, but I think there's 3 people on. I'm gonna reset my Instagram real quick for people. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, so sorry about that. Let me reset. Sorry I was a little bit late. I am trying to see if there are people who are out there now. I gave people my StreamYard link and like, if you could come on for a couple minutes, let me put you on. Because I know some of us are home and some of us don't have the ability to be in the streets, and some people are working or some people are just like taking a day, which yeah, I knew they were doing this on Instagram. my Instagram followers, anybody that's new, but people who follow me know literally every time I do a live, something disconnects or it pauses, all of that. Yeah, so I'm gonna end the stream for Instagram on the show itself. But like I always know, people watching here, I am here. Okay. But if you're on Instagram, I can you can ask me questions, or you can go to my YouTube channel and I'll see the comments. So all right, well. Okay. Nationwide strike. Here we go. Peace, everybody. My name is Rosa Clemente. I live in Albany, New York. I'm a longtime producer, organizer, independent journalist, and was an associate producer and historical consultant to the two-time Oscar-winning movie Judas and the Black Messiah, which is also interesting because Chairman Fred Hampton and me have been comrades for a long, long time. And right now he's in Ghana, where an embassy was institutionalized and created on behalf for the Black Panther Party, but the Black Panther Party Cubs, as Chairman Fred calls it. So he's there, and I'm like, yo, are you seeing what's going on? He's like, yeah, I'm looking at it. He's like, we're here. I was like, yo, we're here. We're literally like those 90s people when he was organized when I was in college, and we would always talk about the New World Order and WTO and a lot of things in the 90s, and here we are. Okay. Yeah, so I'm really grateful to the new followers, also grateful for people who want to take the course. Peace. Okay, I just want to make sure y'all on Instagram got me. Well, you know what? Let me wait a couple of minutes because people might not be seeing the because I'm not seeing it actually on Instagram Live. Oh my God, these technical difficulties are insane. So anyway, I've been doing work around Afro Black, using a term that a lot of people are using, Latinx identity, culture, and politics. And for me, the politics is important, and for me as well. When I look at a lot of work, whether it's independent writing or academic writing or people on Facebook or that on Instagram always have something great to say, and I can learn from them. I have found that most of the discussions, unless you're in very specific spaces around Afro Black Latinx identity in the United States, it's usually a cultural discussion, about like hair and music and cultural traditions and all of that. Okay. Oh yes, yes, Kaylara, come to YouTube. And I get frustrated by it a lot, but I've known this as long as I've been doing the work, and especially the minute I met Dr. Maita Moreno Vega, who for me, and then my comrade Lumumba Bandelli from Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, they came, this is why our narratives are important, because in that time, the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus, as it was called in Albany, New York, was very well known. You had Assemblyman Roger Green, you had Assemblyman Al Van, one of the assembly people who started the Educational Opportunity Program. So in 1993, I was a junior, and because I was the president for the Albany State University Black Alliance, um, he wasn't even my advisor, but a man named Dr. Carson Carr, that for all intents and purposes created the best EOP program in the state of New York. And to this day, that's my belief. I didn't come through EOP though. I came, I'm sure, like a minority or whatever, because that was 1990. And I met them because I had started an internship, and Assemblyman Roger Green was like, "Oh, come here because I think you're gonna like who you're about to meet." And by then, I had taken on this identity of a person of African descent. So don't call me Hispanic. I mean, that was dead at like 25 years ago. And then I definitely was like Black Rican. And then by 2001, I was like, I'm a Black Puerto Rican woman. So I go, and Martha was presenting on the institution she founded, the Caribbean Cultural Center, African Diasporic Institute. And at that time, they were on the west side of Manhattan. So I went in there, but I left early because I had to go back to campus. So a couple months later, no, not a couple months, the next, not a couple months. So it would have been September 1993. Okay. She was at SUNY Albany, the Hispanic Heritage Month speaker. And I was like, oh, word. And by that time, I was politicized. And the people that most accepted me were Black spaces, even then. And also, SUNY Albany had a large amount of people in sorority and fraternities, Black and Latino. And they were always politically involved. So she drops the knowledge, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is me. Like, you know, you meet a person, you're like, oh shit, you just changed my life. And she finished speaking, and like 5 of us in a bar room of, I don't know, all of that. I was like, yeah. So like most everybody else did not clap, but there were other like Black Latinos and Latinas, you know, I mean, Black Dominican, Panamanian, you know, Black Puerto Rican. And I went up to her and I said, when I graduate, I want to come. And I think I might have said, can you mentor me or something? And she's like, yeah, here's my number, my fax, because back then it was phones and fax machines. And she's like, I'm going to await your call. And then I met Lumumba as well. And then, oh, I see you still the real AD. Yeah, so if you're on Instagram, fam, join it on YouTube, because then you guys could join in the whole conversation. And that was it. And then I started going to New York, and then Martha got me my first paid gig. Like, I was on a panel she brought me to. I brought my mom, because at that time I had already graduated, but I was on my way for my master's program to Cornell. And Martha had an event. She brought me on the panel because she says always necessary to bring young people into this, you know, and I was a young person. And she's like, and you'll get paid. And I was like, paid for what? She's like, for your participation. I was like, wait, paid like speaking, like when we bring speakers and pay them. And the speakers we were bringing oh my God, a who's who. So many of them are gone. I think every day that I was part of Black Studies, Africana Studies, Pan African Studies. I met Dr. Gordon, Dr. Turner. Um, it's just incredible, incredible. And she's like, yeah, you can get paid for speaking. And I was like, what? And I kept that check. I mean, I cashed it. I'm sure I gave it to my mom, but my mom might have been like, here's, because that was the first time I ever got paid for talking. And my mom's like, well, you might be able to make a career out of this. And I was like, sure, I was going to be a teacher and a lawyer. And I did become a teacher. In 1 year, I moved to Brooklyn. My comrades, Monifa and Lumumba, and their two daughters allowed me to like stay in their space. And then Brooklyn, that was it. It was like Malcolm X grassroots movement. By then, I'm like, I am definitely a Black Puerto Rican. But it was at a meeting at the Malcolm X, one of our meetings, that one of the other brothers was like, yeah, Rosa, okay, you might be Black, but you're like mad light skin. I'm like, you're lighter than me. Okay. So, and I wrote my article, Who is Black? And that's how I knew this would be a part of like my DNA for the rest of my life. Like in whatever space I am. And if you know, my friends will be like, yes, Rosa, you're a Black Puerto Rican. We know that. And I'm like, I just need to make sure you understand. So that's the story. So I wrote this article, let's see. All right, that's not working. Why would anything be working? No, do not remove me from the stage. I'm trying to get this down. Oh my goodness. Yes, remove that. Okay. So I wrote my article, Who is Black? And to this day, I know it's my most read article. I mean, I wrote it 25 years ago, and a couple times a year, at least, like I'll either meet somebody that's like, I read that when I was in high school and now I'm getting my PhD, or I'll meet somebody that's like, you made me want to be who I already was. And I always tell people I wasn't born into the movement. Like most of my comrades were either born in their movement or their families are movement families, And then I'll say, well, my daughter was born in the movement. So once I identified like that, I was good. What happens is that a lot of times, especially back then, because you know what, when you're like a 53-year-old woman in menopause, you're going to say the truth more than ever before. So it was other Latinos and then some Latino elders, obviously not Dr. Vega. But why do you always have to talk about race? Like, you're obsessed with it. Why do you always have to this, that, and the other? So I was like, why are you so angry at me? I'm not trying you up, trying to make you say you're Black anything. But the animosity, because I'm like, that's not about me. That's about them. And I was a young teenage girl who I did have some level of self-esteem. And when I went to college, once I got involved in political things, I guess I had a boyfriend or so, but most of my time after that was taking as many Black studies classes and doing as many events for ASUBA that would bring what we used to call Black and Hispanic people together. So then I go to Brooklyn, I become an organizer. And Malcolm X grassroots movement made me an organizer. And then I was still in academia. I had gotten my master's at Cornell University from Dr. James Turner, probably one of the most greatest professors and orators in our lifetime. Like Dr. Turner started um, Africana Studies at Cornell like in 1969, and it's still there. And unfortunately, he passed away 3 years ago, which was a hard blow because, like, Dr. Turner was then not only had he coined the term Africana, which means you study Black people all over the world, which is a connection with Arturo Schomburg, right? Um, he knew mad people around the like leaders around the world. Like one summer, he's like, "Yeah, when I think what you bring up is very important, Rosa," because he would always say, "Rosa, I want to talk to Fidel about this." I was like, "Fidel who?" He's like, "Fidel Castro." I'm like, "Fidel Castro in Cuba? Like, you know him like that?" We're friends. I was like, till the day he passed, he was my mentor. So that made me have an understanding of African diaspora people and all of that. So, I went to Cornell, I graduated, and for like a couple years, I was just hardcore. Everything, anything, everything, Brooklyn, Malcolm X, all of it. And then hip hop activism was huge. Malcolm X grassroots movement and the brothers who founded the Black August, the celebration of hip hop and freedom fighters. It was an incredibly rich time of organizing, and then the prison industrial complex, and then organizing to free political prisoners. We organized, but Prolibertad actually gets all the credit for a almost 40-year movement of making sure that the Puerto Rican political prisoners would get released. And then Dead Prez, I was almost always with, at that point, the welfare poets, as well as Dead Prez and Malcolm X grassroots movement. And, we had clubs, the apartment, Bobito, like it was so incredible time. Incredible time. And the reason we were able to do all this, and it was hard, it wasn't like we didn't have debates. It was like we didn't have social media. We needed to deal with conflict, or we needed to make sure that someone was being heard. Like, I had to learn like that organizing also becomes within your family. And I know, because my sister tells me a lot. No, every time you came home, you would just like drop in everything. And mommy was like, my mom was like, I don't know why I sent her to school. I think she was more like, what can you do with Black studies, or what just, But by that time too, I was like so politicized, and I went everywhere, tried to do every meeting, all of it, 100%. So that's how I came into the work, and that's the work that guides me. And even when it's rough, and even when it's usually other Latinos hating on you, or even Latino organizations, wanting me to do a keynote, but then don't want me to talk about race, And I know that there's a lot of younger Afro-Black Latinx identified folks who right now are being attacked because of their political stance. And I see them, Black Dina and Debbie Perez. And they're powerful. And they're using the social media, like, honestly, like, I feel like what Debbie Perez is doing, that level of visual journalism is so critically important, and it's dope. And I let them know I got your back, So I have one question, and it's, if you had to guess from the different Latin communities, who would you say embraces their Blackness more readily? Oh, Boricuas for sure. We're the co-creators and co-founders of hip hop culture and African diaspora world, art form and political form. Yeah. But I mean, obviously I'm Boricua, but the reason I'm also saying that is because Puerto Ricans, like African Americans, are citizens of the United States, but they're not treated as citizens, right? So now you see some Boricua men, you know, I got pulled over today, and they thought I was an immigrant, and I had to either have a conversation with them. I mean, there's mad Boricuas running around, with their having their passports on them, which I understand. Yeah, I'm gonna have mine on me. It doesn't guarantee though that we're gonna be treated better. But in that is where it's the deep solidarity that's being created. But Co is a little strong. Which part of Co? Yeah, so then the solidarity, and then that's how I got into meeting the Young Lords and the Black Panthers, and like all through organizing in New York at that time. So yeah, that's what I would say. Oh, no, we are co-founders. I mean, that's not even, that's an historical fact. And every African American man and woman of that generation, and also Kool Herc, is clear on that. No, we're not cousins of hip hop, and we're not participants only. We co-founded, co-created hip hop culture. Like, when you see the first images of hip hop and you see Rocksteady Crew, the B boys and B girls is what image wise, and they were almost all Boricuas, so absolutely. And then some joined Zulu Nation, But yeah, look, I'm a historian, and historically, I'm just saying we weren't participants or cousins, um, but it's okay. With me, facts, I just can't debate facts in that way because it's factually true. So, that's kind of my journey into all of this. Yeah, so I'm doing this seminar, and it starts in 2 weeks. And again, like I said, it's really about the politics now, because all the other stuff exists, and it's like every day you'll be like, oh, okay, another cultural article, right? Um, yeah. Okay, well, listen. Um, y'all heard about the journalist that got arrested, right? Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. Right now, this is not, we're at a different level. So I do want to read a statement, because Georgia Fort was filming for Speak Minneapolis. So the executive director of Speak Minneapolis is like a long time mentee in my life. She covered also in 2008, she covered for MTV. She asked to cover me in Cynthia's campaign, and she was the journalist the most that wrote about us when I ran for vice president with Cynthia McKinney on the Green Party ticket in 2008. So I've been every day, because I don't think that Don Lemon, I mean, I don't think that maybe they were like, it's coming. I mean, I still was like, Holy shit, they arrested 2 journalists in the United States. So let me get you guys here. Oh no, let me do it here so you can see it better. Well, it's backwards, right? So you're not be able to see it. Oh no, here it is. Okay. So this is a statement of support and call for immediate release of Georgia Fort. We are outraged by the arrest of independent Emmy Award-winning journalist Georgia Fort after federal agents arrived at her home this morning and arrested her in front of her family and children. Georgia Fort sent us this video alerting members of the press to her arrest. We are sharing that video alongside this statement so the public can understand what is happening in real time. Georgia Fort was reportedly arrested in connection with her coverage of the January 18th, 2026 protests at City's Church. Speak Minneapolis has worked with Georgia to live stream and amplify her reporting for several years. We unequivocally condemn the arrest of Georgia Fort. The arrest of a journalist for covering a protest is a direct attack of our First Amendment rights and threat to the role of a free press in our democratic republic. Journalists have a constitutional right to document matters of public interest, including actions of the government. We believe strongly in the role documentation, freedom of the press play in ensuring accountability in our country. In moments like this, video recorded by journalists is often the only reason the public knows what is actually happening, especially when official statements contradict what is visible in the footage. It is unheard and unacceptable for journalists to be arrested in this country for reporting about civil unrest, targeting reporters through arrest, intimidation. Let me see, because targeting reporters through arrest, intimidation, or surveillance chills free speech and threatens the ability of the press to bear witness on behalf of the public. Georgia was reporting, she was documenting history so the public could see it, understand it, and make informed decisions about their safety and community. We stand with Georgia Fort and Don Lemon. We call for the immediate release. We stand with the broader media community in calling for an end to the arrest, intimidation, and assault on members of the press and our community. Bearing witness is not a crime. Documentation is not a threat. So I guess the revolution will be televised until it's not. So look, here we are. Here we are. And it just came like, I'm sure all of you like we knew it was gonna happen, but then it's like happening and you're like, what? Let me see, forensics account. I hope this will lead to the radicalization of Don Lemon. Yeah, no, definitely. He's more like a liberal, and he was wrong a lot of times. And the way he reported Ferguson was unacceptable. Go watch that debate with Talib Kweli and Don Lemon. But see, this is being a journalist is like people are going to be in the streets. Like now there's going to be more people in the streets. I think now it's going to be now kind of like that middle class Generation X, some boomers, but Generation X women, white women, right? Who are going to be like, oh no, this is outrageous. I mean, Minneapolis, white people are in the streets. They are, that's important to recognize too in this moment. Like a lot of what the era of Black Lives Matter brought was not allies. It should, like I've called it, they need to be accomplices for justice and liberation. But in the late 60s, or you look at an organization like the Weather Underground, they were specifically like, we are fighting for Black liberation because we as white people created this in a bigger this of the political times or the political actions and things that were happening at that time. So then you see mostly white people, and then people will be like, where are Black and brown people? I'm like, hiding in their house. Like, these people are rogue. Doing whatever they want. And I think that's what has made this feel like, okay, the anger across the country, and it's going to keep growing. And people are out today. People are out. People gonna be out, and they're not going to trick people and try to act like Holman is so nice. He's the one that created the separation families in the first Trump administration, or that Kristi Noem. Of course, she's going to resign. But that's the thing. At this point, we got to understand. We know everything they're going to do. So what are we going to do? And I think what's happening today, and that the press is not even covering it, because now they released the Epstein files. I'll say something about this administration. They are crafty. They are very like, got all the ducks in a row. They're like, all right, Epstein files, release them right now. And then they released 3 million. So I'm listening to everything. And I hadn't seen, as of what time? Yeah, as I would say around like 2:45, I've seen nothing of covering all the protests going on all over this country. Not a thing. A lot of people are out there. So how about Goldie Taylor? I don't know who Goldie Taylor was. Sorry. So I think what's going to happen with Don Lemon and Jordan Ford, they're going to be released, or if they haven't been released, obviously. But if they're coming after journalists like that, and then using an act that's actually should be a law that should be used the other way, the journalists like on CNN, Fox, and all, they're gonna be all right. Nobody's gonna arrest them. That's corporate media. But it's gonna be the independent journalists, and that's the thing. If you have your phone, you're like basically a content creator of the movement. So yeah. Yeah, so like I said, my course starts on February 15th. I shared a little bit of my story of how I came into the work and how that work guides me. So you could DM me or email me at clementerosa@gmail. I might come back on later if I could get some folks to call from where they're at. But for those who are out there right now, I hope you're safe. Thank you for being in these streets. We know exactly where we're going. So we got to get like a little bit on offense too. We got to get ready for the next level, whatever that looks like. And honestly, the next level is they're going to try to disrupt or cancel or do something about the elections. Because while all this is happening, the FBI raided Fulton County Elections Office and took boxes of voter registration out. And then last night, Tulsi, whatever her last name is, I even forget, she's in the White House. She's the defense, the national, the one that she's never even at the meetings. She's basically the CIA's boss in a way. But why was she there? This dude is so deranged that he's now, no, 2020 was mine. And y'all gonna have to make, yes, thank you, Gabbard. The dude's deranged. And then Pam Bondi, the day before Alex Pretty was murdered, she sends a letter to Waltz basically saying, if you turn over your voter database, we might leave. Why was she sending them that email when the letter was about what ICE was doing in the streets the day before they murdered Alex Pretty? This is And if you go to see Laura Coates, was it last night? I think it was. She had Eric, the former Attorney General with Obama. Well, anyway, he was straight up like, "Oh, they're going to try to disrupt or cancel these elections." He said that last night. Laura Coates, 11 p.m. on CNN. He said that. I think I videotaped it because I was like, Eric Holder, this is crazy that Eric Holder is basically like, yo, they're trying to mess with the elections. And Eric Holder. And he was the AG. And now Pam Bondi, and now you got Gabbard, and then you got the release of the Epstein files, then you got the $40 million public service amount announcement that Amazon gave to Melania Trump and dared to call it a documentary. I mean, I am going to watch it to see how crazy it is. Amazon gave her $40 million for 20 days of filming, and she had complete editorial control. That's not a documentary. That's a public service announcement. Oh my God. Let me show you too, this is the arrest warrant for Georgia. You are commanded, it's hard to see, you are commanded and something indictment. Okay, so that's what somebody else was saying too, that they were like, they got a judge to sign off on this. So a judge signed this arrest warrant for 2 journalists because they had a grand jury, and the grand jury indicted, a federal grand jury indicted them. 100% attack, all of it. Tax evasion, Melania. Who knows? I think since Trump's been in office a second time, he's made $1.4 billion. Then there's the New York Times article right there. And remember the 2 sisters that got arrested for doing the protests in the church. And they were held for maybe 48 hours and still have to appear in court eventually. So then it says, that he was arrested And then they did, which I think was good because already people aren't, mainstream media is not even saying her name, Georgia Fort. So this is a little background on who she is. Oh, excuse me. Another error, my bad. Okay, so 4 of them were arrested. Also charged with Traherne Jen Cruz and Jamel Lydell Lundy. Oh, so why wouldn't we know that? Okay, so it's 4 journalists. So obviously everybody's going to talk about just Don Lemon, so it's important not to remember all 4 of them. All right. I might come on later, but like I said, DM me or email me if you want to know more about the seminar. Or you can watch this from the beginning and you'll know more as well. All right. Peace, everybody.